Hello to all you patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 454, the most casual of Canadian Patriot podcasts. We are also the number one live podcast in Canada, recorded June 30th, the end of Men's Mental Health Month, 2025.
We need your help to support the Canadian Patriot Podcast. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. And you may or may not find out if I'm wearing pants or not. Um, Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $24.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link on the right.
Excellent. That brings us to our favorite segment of the show, What Are We Drinking? And we have a new old guest, so maybe we'll start with them. Andrew, what are
Good
you
day.
drinking? And something you've done off the Patriot Challenge.
I am drinking the finest of Muskoka Brewing's Detour IPA. It is not unlike making out with a pine tree.
So it's right up your alley.
Was that a sappy joke? Am I allowed to make those? I'm out of
Yes.
practice.
That was a
Oh,
wonderful pun, though. Excellent dad joke.
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah,
Thank
that
you.
was a good dad joke.
I've been working hard on my dad jokes,
Yes,
and I've
all
been
that
working
time you spent with Eric has helped.
I've been working hard on my Patriot Challenge things. Most recently, the skills that I have been practicing has been service rifle, and I have been cajoled into participating as I understand the contempt for the listeners knows no bounds, but they would like to hear some gun autism, and I am here to provide.
We've reached out to our resident expert on gun autism.
Yeah, the guntism.
So I work out, I drink my water, I drink my beer, I work on my skills. My skill is shooting. This past weekend, I expended something in the order of 250 rounds shooting a service rifle all weekend.
Nice to hear more about that.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that we can have some gun talk about that, and I can regale everyone with what I think about rifle shooting. Uh, with that in, I've lost my train of thought. Apparently, I'm out of practice at this. Pierre, what are you drinking?
Um, Tonight I switched it up. I am drinking to start with Jameson and Pepsi because that's what I was drinking before the show. And then I've got a nice big glass of just Jameson, as well as my water because it's hot. Patriot Challenge. Um, since we didn't do a show last week, I did have to practice some first aid stuff and keep an eye on uh, Mel due to shitty people in a shitty environment we put ourselves in. But we've decided we're no longer going to bars because we went out for a night, haven't been out in many, many years, and we're fairly confident she got something slipped in her drink and it hit her on the way home. So people
Well,
are degens. Yeah.
that's pretty lame.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we've decided we're just like she can get like we're gonna get dressed up and we're just gonna hang out in the backyard with the Bluetooth speaker run loud and feel like we're other places. Um, yeah, drinking the waters is with the crazy weather we're having, doing the Audible train still, as well as podcasts that are way better than any other radio things. Um, Getting the exercise in, just work volume and everything going on. Trying to get into a new nightly routine with even the family, get the dogs out, getting all of us out for a little bit of a stretch from the long days inside because it's been so hot that I'm like, let's just stay inside in the AC. No point in going outside. So yeah, trying to get a new habit in something. So that's about it for us. What about you, Gavin?
I am drinking the Signal Hill and Diet Pepsi this evening. Patriot Challenge stuff, so still doing my reading. I think I'm up to 11 books so far this year, so
Nice.
making some good progress. I think I'm a little behind still, but I'm working on it. I'll get caught up soon. Um, Also practicing some skills. I've been doing a little shooting as well, although not this weekend. I was there, but I was helping out by not doing the shooting. But last week, why we didn't do a show is I just got back from Utah, so I did some shooting down there. I also got to practice some of my survival skills because I woke up Sunday morning to snow, and so had to wear all of my clothes to make it through unexpected cold weather. was a fun time though. Got to see friends.
So how cold does it get in the mountains of Utah that it snows?
So it was hovering right around freezing, so like 30-ish degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, so just enough to be super shitty.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
so originally, like I normally go down and we're in the desert and it's balls hot and everyone is suffering and it's like, oh my God, this is the worst. Why do we keep doing this? And then the next year we do the same and the same. So finally last year we're like, all right, like enough is enough. It's hot, it's a dust bowl, and this is 2 years in a row now that like
Yeah. It's just
well,
been
their
no
no,
fun.
their version of like the M&R guy came by and was like, you know, you guys can't shoot steel targets out here. So we're like, we're not. We're just shooting. Please ignore those steel targets out in the roadway over there in the desert. That's not us. And so they never made a big stink about it, but we're like, it's only a matter of time before like it becomes a thing. So we changed location and we went instead of going like an hour south of Salt Lake City. We went like an hour and a bit northeast of Salt Lake City, expecting it to be cooler. So in Ogden, which
It
was about
was.
yeah, 30 minutes to the west of where we are, but like not in the mountain. Um, on the day before, 2 days before, it was something like 100 something, just over 100 something Fahrenheit. So pretty friggin' warm.
Yeah.
So we were expecting like 70, 80 Fahrenheit, somewhere in that ballpark. But then like just this weird cold front. So while everyone here was suffering with like ridiculous 30 something Celsius
Yeah.
weather, I was freezing my nuts off.
In
So yeah,
Utah,
in Utah,
which
yeah.
which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Fun.
But it was a good time. I got to see friends, I got to drink alcohol, I got to shoot guns, I got to carry a gun like a man around the city. So all in all, a good time. Um,
Nice.
yeah. Upcoming events, Army Run in September, Nationals in September. Come out and shoot guns with us. You'll hear all about the guns that may or may not be shot during that event. There is no news this evening because we've had listener feedback, and as always, we listen to our listener feedback sometimes. So today, we're going to just talk about guns and shooting and the related gear and accessories that go along with those guns that we use while doing shooting. So let the gun autism begin.
Where do you want to start with? Are we talking about things that are going on, things that we've done, things that are
Well, why
Yes.
don't you tell us what you did in guns this week? And then 5 hours
what I've done
later,
in guns? Allow me to make reloading machine noises and ignore all of the things about podcasting while I do this week in guns.
perfect. We're
No,
bringing this segment back.
no, I'm not going to go and run the reloading press. That's what the ammo bot is for.
Well,
So this past weekend, Ontario Rifle Association service rifle match. Service rifle matches are back. We had service rifle matches last year. I have reluctantly become the service rifle match director for the province of Ontario. And
Mhm.
I have reluctantly also become the service rifle match director for the National Service Conditions Championship for the Dominion of Canada Rifle Association, which is being run by the Ontario Rifle Association this year.
well, I mean, this is the only way that you can defend your best 200-yard rifle shooter in the country title.
It's true.
Yes.
The only way to prove that I am the best at something is to make sure that I'm the person organizing the event where I am doing the thing I am best at.
Yeah.
And,
No conflict of interest whatsoever.
no.
In my defense, I was not involved in organizing nationals. The last time nationals happened in 2019, I just showed up and shot, which is what I would hoped to have done in any of the past 5 years. But here we are. So
Yes.
I have been drafted into helping with this, and I have also because my very dear friend Maritimer on CGN recently had a new family member added to his family. He does not have time to organize the service rifle matches in Ontario that he had been doing the last number of years leading up to COVID. So I'm taking it over because my progeny is slightly older and I can get away with it.
Yep.
And one day, hopefully, he will be able to participate. So we have to keep the sport alive.
We need to continue to have the sport long enough that I get my machine guns that I've never been able to own, so that my children can have the machine guns they deserve.
Yes. I'm
Exactly.
down. Yeah, I'm down.
Right? Because I
Okay,
would shoot the
so
hell out of some service rifle with an FNC-1
Oh, God, yeah,
oh
that'd be so good.
on full auto.
Yeah. Well,
Rapid
yeah.
what? Burp.
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be cool.
So service rifle is a physically and mentally demanding shooting sport that has multiple positions and also rundowns. So there are deliberate targets where they are individually indicated. So you shoot and then an indicator to show you where you have shot. There are snap targets where the target appears and disappears very, very quickly, usually like a few seconds, up for 3, 5 seconds, kind of a thing. Target comes up, takes some shots at it, target goes down. Rapid targets where the target comes up and you fire a whole magazine at it in a short period of time, like
A whole Canadian magazine
a
at
Yeah,
it.
Canadian
yeah,
magazine. So like
yeah.
10
Fun.
rounds in like a 30 seconds or a minute, depending on which course of fire we're doing. If it's the
Yeah.
CAFSAT course of fire that the military uses, or the NSCC course of fire, which is I find very long and slow, or the ORA course of fire, which I have taken all the things that I like best and made my own match because I like them the best. Um,
Makes
Yeah. I
sense.
mean, that's how anything works, right? If you don't like how other people do it, just
Get in charge
run
and
your own
fix it.
thing.
just
Yeah.
do your own thing and make it better, which is what
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done. And part of that is the limitation with service rifle because sorry, continuing on with scoring targets, snaps, rapids,
Movers.
deliberates, and movers, which is a very unique and special kind of target because moving targets in Canada, not an extremely common target presentation. We are fortunate enough to do this on a gallery range with the target butts. So we have a butts party operating the targets undercover and a shooting party at the firing point actually doing the shooting, but it's all very safe. It sounds kind of sketchy, but the
But
people in the
it's
Yeah.
target butts are well below where the bullets are and protected by
yeah,
a big concrete bunker, and the
a bunch
targets
of
are up
dirt and
above your head, and it's
Yeah. So my sales manager, who's been out shooting with the ORA recently, the first time he went out and they had the butts thing, he was there with his son. Um, Goes home to explain to the wife, because she's like, "Oh, like how did it go?" And he's like, "Oh, it was great. Like, I was shooting and the boy was there and he's got the target up over his head and he's holding it." And she's like, "That doesn't sound very safe." He's like, "No, it's fine." Tony was just, "No, no, no, like that's not safe." He's like, "Okay, I got to back this up a little bit, right? There's a big pile of dirt and a concrete bunker, and he's behind that, and like it's total. It's not like
yeah,
the William Tell apple on the head thing.
yeah,
It's yeah,
that's
big
right. But
stick, big stick with a target. You're behind. Yeah, it's fun,
yeah.
yes,
but it's
so
different.
it is different, and moving targets are their own fun and exciting thing, which I very much enjoy. In the National Course of Fire, moving targets are their own match number 17, where you do all of the moving targets at all of the distances, all in one go with rundowns, and it's a super fun match, but
That
it
sounds
gets its
very
own day
involved.
at nationals, and it's very involved, and it's very, yes.
Yeah,
So I have spread it out so that every distance that we are at for a regular Saturday match, we get to shoot movers at most of them. um,
Nice.
Service rifle shot back to 500 yards. The bulk of the shooting is done at 2 and 300. There are a grand total of 2 shots taken at 400 yards.
Ooh, two.
yeah.
National at National Course of Fire is roughly the same deal. There's very little shooting at 400, but there is a fair bit of shooting that happens at 500. And because we are doing that rundown, you have all your rifle and equipment. You do your shooting at 500, then you do the 100-yard dash, and you shoot your shots at 4, and you do the 100-yard dash, and you shoot at 3 and 2 and 1. And on match 17, the movers match also at 50.
But
And Nationals is shot over, it's meant to be shot over 4 days, although this year, due to participation, I think we're going to try and shoot it in two, because normally the entire set of matches are shot, and then the top 50% of the competitors shoot it again to aggregate enough points to determine who the best people are. Due to limited participation this year, I don't think we're going to need to do that twice. We're just
yeah,
going to do it the once and call it good.
yeah. If
Yeah,
we
Um,
really need to, we can just go like sudden death,
yeah.
500 yard. indicated shots or something if we need to differentiate.
Yes, so
Yeah.
I quite enjoy service rifle. It is mentally and athletically demanding because it is a carry all your stuff in the service conditions in the military style, like pretend play army kind of thing. So chest rig, rifle, ammo, all your stuff, do the rundowns, don't leave anything behind because then you have to go back and get it and manage all your magazines. And as Gavin says, it's Canadian magazines, so you're limited to 5 and 10 round magazines generally, since we don't have semi-automatic rifles anymore. You could use a bigger magazine, but there aren't really bigger magazines for bolt action rifles. They all basically stop at 10 rounds.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
even if you went with like
12.
a yeah an
Yeah,
MDT
the
12
steel.
rounder,
Yeah.
it's like woo, 2 extra rounds. Yeah,
Two
Yeah.
extra rounds, and now you have to count differently because the matches are all meant to be shot in
5 or 10
aggregates of
shot.
5 shots.
Yeah.
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 Um,
So
okay, so uh what what do you what would you recommend if someone wants to get into it? So I've never shot service rifle.
Bring
Um,
what you got in a
yeah,
caliber that is applicable to the range that you're shooting on, because range templates and licenses are a thing.
yeah.
Um,
yeah.
cheap
So
and cheerful,
everyone
two
this
two three
weekend was
five five
totally
six.
223 or 303 British.
Yes, because the
So
Enfield is totally a service rifle.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so what are your availabilities for service rifles? So obviously prior to the gayness of Canada, you would bring your
Yeah,
AR-15.
you'd be
I
shooting
used to
these
shoot
things
this.
over
Yeah,
here. Yeah.
I
right.
used to
You
shoot
would
this with an AR-15,
yes.
and now I
So
shoot this with a Cuck straight pull MRA
AR-15.
Renegade.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
I've taken all my
is
service rifle stuff off my AR and I put it on my Cuck straight pull.
is that best option? Are bolt actions semi
Bolt
sort of acceptable?
actions are absolutely acceptable.
Yeah. I mean,
Obviously,
there's
it makes it a
so
little harder.
so last year when we ran the 2 matches, there were a few people that were able to bring some semis because they were legal at the time.
Okay, but
But
Uh,
now that there
but
are
yeah,
basically no semi-auto mag-fed rifles,
yeah,
I would really like to see someone do this with an M1 Garand, and I am tempted to be that guy, but with a limited number of matches leading up to nationals, I am not going to be that guy.
yeah. But it would be
Because
kind of fun
I
to see
do think
someone do
doing this
that.
with an M1 Garand and 5 round on block magazines, because they make
Yeah,
5 round on block
that I
magazines
was
for
gonna say it
hunting,
would make the math easy, right?
it
Like
would
you
make the
could,
math really easy. And so I am certainly tempted. But the field is about 50% split right now between the MRA Renegade Cuck rifle and some kind of a bolt action in a chassis. The super lightweight MDT chassis. The Savage makes one. I think Mossberg
yeah,
MVP, and I think somebody else makes another um, lightweight 223 bolt fed. It's got an
yeah,
MDT stock on it, but I can't remember who makes it. It's not Savage and Remington. There's another,
yeah. I mean the
the
Mossberg
Ruger American.
Ruger, yeah.
yeah, Ruger has yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
so
so yeah, they get like the LSS or the other one that's got the full handguard, but they'll put lighter weight stocks on them to lighten the whole thing up.
Yeah, and
And
not like crazy long heavy barrels because we are shooting strings of 10.
yeah,
Um,
it's
and
like a
we are shooting,
16.
yeah, a 16 to 18-inch barrel is fine.
Yeah,
Magazines to hold 5 or 10 rounds. And there is time to bomb up. I'm still shooting my PMags, my 5 round PMags, like I've shot forever. Uh, the 5 round PMag works really well. It feeds reliably. It holds 5 rounds, and it happens to be incredibly convenient to rest the rifle on and use as a shooting aid. Because one of the things with service rifle is there are no external supports, no bipods, no tripods, no bags, no Arca rails, no none of that on
yeah,
like it is you and the rifle, and that is about it.
yeah,
Slings are permissible, but I don't shoot with a sling. I never learned to shoot my AR-15 well with a sling. I learned to shoot it much better without a sling. And the MRA is ergonomically similar enough to an AR-15 that it shoots the same way. I mean, the action is not the same, but like the actual shooting part is
Yeah, the
Yeah,
shooting, the feel,
good,
how you
good
stand with it,
enough.
everything else
yeah.
feels
Yes, the
Allegedly,
positional.
the exterior dimensions of the rifle are pretty darn close to an
So
AR.
the 530 pinned PMag, like the regular length 30 round Stenag mags that are pinned in Canada to five, because despite all the semi-auto rifles being banned, I still can't have full-size magazines
Yeah,
yes.
because the government is both fake and gay.
yeah,
But
You,
anyway,
you should see the sausages they barbecued today.
yeah.
I bet.
Still their month. Yeah,
Uh, you are able to rest the rifle on the magazine when you're shooting and use it like a monopod. You can't have like a special monopod, but the rifle is an integral component of the firearm. You have to have a magazine to feed your ammo.
yeah,
And if you happen to rest it on the ground,
yeah. There's no
it's
rule
not
that
only
says you can't.
allowed, it is especially encouraged.
Yeah,
Well, okay.
Um, there's a couple different classes. It doesn't super matter. Some kind of magnified low power variable power optic is ideal. A red dot is doable, but less so because red dots are typically very difficult to adjust on the fly, and you want to be able to dial for your different distances. So some kind of low power variable optic is the way to go, and 223.556 is cheap, cheerful, and usually works pretty well.
yeah. Especially as you're only
Um,
going out to 500. Like
yeah,
that's
500 is really, I mean, 500 is challenging, but there's not a lot of shooting at
yeah,
500. There's a couple of matches that are done at 500, and it depends on which course of fire people reference for that. But the bulk of the shooting is done at 2 and 3. An
yeah,
exceptionally small amount of the shooting is done at 400, and a little bit of shooting is done at 500. So if you wanted to use like a heavier 69, 75, 77 grain 223, great. My old load for my service rifle was a 75 grain Hornady boat tail hollow point. It was phenomenally good. I want to say it was like 23 grains of Varget, and it worked phenomenally well at 500. Um,
yeah. And I mean,
PMC
my
X-Tac 62 grain is cheap and cheerful green tip that you can get at pretty much any gun store. It's going for like 16, $17 a box of 20 right now. I've been shooting the PMC X-Tac lately. It works quite well. It's not unreasonably expensive.
no, and I mean they're fairly consistent. Although you were having some weird swings over the weekend, but generally
I
I
wouldn't
find
say
it
they're
am
weird swings. The PMC X-Tac I find is it is a good quality ammo, but it does
yeah.
have about 100 foot per second variation between the high and low values. It's a 24 or 25 FPS standard deviation. So most of your most of your rounds that fall within one standard deviation are going to be plus or minus 25. But
Yeah.
like I'm finding extreme spreads of 100 between the highest and lowest value shots in a string at 3,000, 3,050 some odd feet a second. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's enough to
Yeah.
be noticeable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
ammo autism too, because we can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
yeah. Oh, okay. So let's say, right, I have never shot it, and I've got some
Yeah.
cash in my pocket, and this is something I want to do. You would mention the Cook straight pull,
the cuck straight pull is probably
but
the
best bang for your buck?
best choice. I don't know
Yeah.
about bang for your buck, but I mean, a lot of people that are interested in service rifle are the same people that had ARs before. So
Okay.
Yeah.
stripping your old AR to make a cuck service rifle to make an MRA Renegade, because I think a receiver
It's
set is about $1,000.
yeah.
So if you already have AR-15 parts and you drop $1,000 on a receiver set, you can basically make a working rifle. I don't think that's great bang for your buck because if you wanted to build a rifle, then you need to get a quality barrel
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
quality piece of glass and all of the accessories, muzzle brake, trigger, hand guard, like
Yeah.
foregrip,
Yeah.
buttstock, receiver extension tube, pistol grip. Like
Yeah.
you're
Basically
probably
everything but the receiver set and the bolt you will have to buy.
yeah.
So
So I would say to build a competitive, like low end of competitive Renegade, you're $1,000 for the receiver set. say you're another at least $1,000 for a quality barrel and all the rest of the allied parts if you buy like used stuff off gun nuts kind of stuff, not like buying new and dropping $250 on a new Magpul stock, but
Yeah.
if you go buy like off the equipment exchange, a used one for $100, you could probably get a rifle together for around 2 grand and then drop another grand on an optic to put on it. And that would get you reasonably competitive.
Yeah.
2 grand on a straight pull. I mean, for that price, what's the going rate on a Ruger American right now? Like $900?
Yeah, even
Yeah.
like the Mossberg MVP already in the MDT chassis that accepts AR mags versus AI mags, which is handy because then you could still do the whole,
Yeah, 5 round
monopoding.
30 monopoding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and use your proper like chest rig and all of that. I mean, you're in that same ballpark of like just over $1,000-ish dollars kind of a thing, if I remember
The
correctly.
the
So
the disadvantage on regular bolt actions, of course, is the bolt throw,
yeah,
but that's not to say that that's
You
bad.
can,
It's just like you got to work with it.
yeah,
yeah. Right.
you'll
So,
save a few dollars going that route, and you can end up getting something that's pretty lightweight, which is really nice that way.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And also useful for varmint.
and like it depending what else you do. So like if you wanted to have like a really lightweight PRS for short distance PRS matches, then maybe going that route is a better way
Yeah.
than the straight pull, although you could kind of use both for either of those sports really. But
So I
yeah,
think,
the
yeah,
straight pull is I think more
s-
competitive for this
straight pull
sport.
is going to be more competitive, but it's again, it's fine. Bring what you got, run what you have. Allied equipment otherwise is something to carry your magazines and some ammo on. Um,
Yeah.
Another very experienced shooter who used to have a podcast that you may have heard of, um, runs 3 PMags, and that's it.
And a pocket full of Lucy's, yeah.
And a pocket full of Lucy's, as God intended.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, run an 8 round chest rig with some sustainment pouches because I like to have tactical accessories. So I typically have my water bottle and my pocket knife and a multi-tool and a bottle of CLP and my poncho and some spare rounds and my course fire sheets and my notebook and some other odds and ends in my sustainment pouches. And then 8 magazines on my chest rig, like stacked too deep because it works for
Yeah.
me. My chest rig sits in such a way that it's convenient when I'm standing up, and it's almost a battle belt because it sits pretty low. But when I lay on the ground, I can get it up high enough under my shoulders that it's out of my way when I'm shooting. So I hardly have any, um, and like
Awkward.
most of my body contacts the ground. The part of my
Yeah.
body that like is not touching the ground is conveniently a space where all of my magazines can rest out of my way without causing
Yeah.
me major
'Cause, yeah,
discomfort.
that's the thing about this sport that's different than some of the others is that like you have to run with all your shit or fast walk.
You have to, well, maybe we should talk about fast
Eh,
walking because,
Oh
like,
yeah,
I say it's
and
a,
stand, kneel, squat, or sit and shoot from prone. So like there's a lot of moving in different shooting positions. So yeah,
it's
you
almost
gotta
as though you're practicing for like some sort of shooting event where you have to be able to get into all of these positions hastily and then make meaningful hits on a target while the target
yeah.
is not going to be waiting around forever for you to get into those positions. It's almost as though this is some sort of a valuable training tool.
It
Yes.
sounds like man yoga.
Yes.
It is not
It is
unlike man
almost as
yoga.
if you needed to invade a small island country and take over their airport or something.
It is
Yeah.
almost like that.
Yeah.
Um, it is somewhat an athletic sport though. The rundowns are not ridiculous. I say 100-yard dash, but it's you have 45 seconds. You can walk. Most average adult men can walk 100 yards in 45 seconds.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
maybe not well, at least not run, but like maybe
Yeah. You're like a
at a brisk pace at least, right? Like,
So
yeah.
I'm a big fan of the airborne shuffle when I do my rundowns. because you're carrying your rifle at the trail carry and you have your chest rig or whatever with all of your equipment. Um, I do like a slow jog sort of a thing. Uh, Other people would call it the airborne shuffle because
Yeah.
it looks like a thing that a certain group of people does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so
Yeah.
that the interesting thing about this too, though, is that like unlike some other competitive shooting sports, there is no time advantage to getting there before everyone else. I mean, yes, you might have slightly more time to kind of get sorted, but you will probably be like sucking wind because you did just run 100 yards, which is going to like make the shooty part more difficult because you're going to be like
Your
up and
heart rate's
down,
elevated. Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
and all of
yeah.
that.
You're
So yeah,
breathing.
the trick is to like
Find that medium.
maximize that time and like get there
Yeah.
like just ahead of when you should
Yeah, to
so
get
that you
yourself into
don't.
position. And I am a big fan of, I usually stop jogging, shuffling, whatever you want to call the movement that I do that is not quite running. I usually stop about 5 or 10 yards in front of the firing point because we're firing on a known distance range with shooting positions every 100 yards. So it's a very clear like you get to the colored peg where you shoot because you're a certain colored peg, and on your left
Yeah,
and right are other colored pegs. So it's very hard to get lost because you're running in a straight line and you just follow your colored pegs.
Yeah.
Uh, 5 or 10 yards before I get to my shooting position, before I get to my peg that I'm going to shoot from, I just walk and I take big deep breaths and I try to get my heart rate to go back down so that by the time that I'm up on the mound and I'm at my shooting position, getting myself into whatever position I need to be in, I'm already trying to relax my breathing and heart rate so that I'm not gassed and sucking wind because I want my sights to settle on the target. Because as Gavin says, depending on the distance and the match, um, prone is a lot of the shooting, but also sitting, kneeling, or squatting are also all options, as well as standing.
yeah,
So getting into a good position and building that good base to shoot off of. The bulk of the positional stuff is done from the kneeling, so flexibility and stretching and being able to get into a good supported kneeling position is very key. As is the standing position, being able to get into a position where you can support your rifle. And I mentioned I wear my chest rig almost like a battle belt. I do this on purpose so I can rest my elbow on top of one of the magazine pouches on my chest rig so that I
Yep.
have a stable shooting position. So my left hand holds the forestock of my rifle, my left elbow is resting on a magazine pouch, and the magazine pouches are on a harness over my shoulders. So everything is very steady.
Yeah.
And then I just have
yeah,
to contend with breathing at that point.
yeah. And so
Um,
that's the trick of the whole thing is to carry enough kit on you so that you have everything that you need, but you don't want to carry all of your ammo for the day, just what you need for that string that you're shooting, and
right,
any
because you run down
accessories
to the
you.
butts.
Yeah,
Because every time you go to the butts, you get to
you
your
don't
stuff
want your
again.
4 liters of water on you that you're drinking throughout the course of the day, but you maybe want like a liter of water on you so that you can have some as you're doing the athletic part. And you got to have your kit so that all of it is where you need it, but also not have kit where you don't want it so that you can be flexible or get into those positions. Because, yeah, if you're running 8 mags, which is a thing you can do, you don't
It is a lot of
necessarily want a
mags.
double stack on your chest so that when you go prone, they're in the way.
Yeah, 8 mags is a lot of
It's,
mags, but also I don't
but
reload. Like I
yeah,
don't have to bomb mags up
but
mid-match.
it's the
Where
figuring out, yeah, the what you need and where it needs to go so that you can get into and out of all of those positions and run.
conveniently, if I were ever to have
Yeah.
to carry full-size magazines, full like normal, not cuck magazines that were 30 rounds, 8 magazines is a comfortable amount of ammunition in my mind.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
I mean,
agree. My chest rig is set up for one, two, 9. So like 9 plus 1 in the gun. So
yeah,
like pretty
not
much the same. Like, and it's
Yeah,
all
like
just one,
about
like,
300 rounds.
yeah,
About 300
one,
rounds seems like a good amount of ammo.
yeah,
yeah,
In
and non-cuck mags.
in
Yes, if
non-cut
I were to
mag.
run real magazines, it would hold
Yeah.
9 magazines and 30 rounds apiece. And yeah, they're all single layer, so it's not like I'm now like the Michelin man, at least
Well,
not any more
I
so
have
than I
mine
already
doubled up,
am.
but
But like, yeah, but
yes,
it's
it's important to get that sort of the other pieces of getting in and out of positions, because a lot of the like there are snap matches where you have to get into a kneeling position between shots. So like target appears, shoot it standing, target disappears, get in kneeling, target appears again. You have to shoot it from kneeling. So like you only have 5 seconds or so to get into that kneeling position and build a good kneeling, and then you have to
yeah.
stand up again and do it
Well,
again.
and
So
that's
like
where I saw some of the less experienced shooters running belts and stuff like that along with their other kit. And as they were sort of transitioning from one position to the next,
gets in the way a little.
sometimes bits of kit would get hung up on other bits of kit because they're used to like standing up and shooting while wearing all of that stuff, which is great. But yeah, the minute that you start getting prone and you got to kick a leg out or something like,
Yes. And I am very much a fan of this as a practical shooting
yeah,
exercise, because you are doing a little bit of movement, you are doing a little running, you are getting into some awkward positions, you are going from standing to prone, so you have to build a good prone, you are going from standing to kneeling, so you have to build a good hasty kneeling. Um, there's an option on some of the matches to do squatting or sitting. Um, I take advantage of that on some of the matches because you have to then go into the next thing from the position you were just in. There's a couple of times where I would rather spend 4 or 5 minutes in the sitting position than in the kneeling position, even though I
yeah,
may not be quite as accurate. I will take the not trying to
yeah,
hurt myself.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you've got to do a 100 yard, slow jog after you've sat on your ankle for 5 minutes, that's maybe not great. Because
It's
you
not
also,
ideal.
yeah, you don't want to like eat shit as you're coming down the mound. Not that the mounds are that tall, but there is a
And not
little
that
bit of,
our dear friend Eric has ever done that.
yeah,
Yeah.
certainly not. But if
Yeah.
you do, commando roll and everything will look good.
Yeah.
As long as you have positive control of the muzzle, I'm a happy camper.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
So
a
yeah,
fun thing.
service rifle, good times, very practical. The current course of fire that we used last year, 110 rounds. We're gonna actually, I think we're gonna make a small change to it after having shot it this year. I think we're gonna do a single mag, a single 5 rounds of deliberate at 500. Because we for the Ontario Rifle Association course of fire, I removed the deliberates because I feel like the deliberates are not a good use of ammunition. But there's been
You were
significant
mulligan to adding
debate.
5.
Well, I don't want to do it all the distances, but I understand at 500 yards with a 223 is a
Yeah.
long way, and the wind does have an effect on that. So before you shoot your 10 for your rapid, having some additional deliberates that are individually indicated,
Yeah.
I'm willing to concede that that's a worthwhile expenditure of ammunition. I'm not
And
willing to
then
do it at 200 or 300 yards because it's
no.
silly, but at
Yeah.
five, I'm so
Well,
we're
it is a
115 rounds
marksmanship
now.
competition, so like there should be some,
Marksmanship.
Yeah.
marksmanship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Service rifle, awesome. Enjoy talking about that. Service pistol. I also am going to be the match director. I have been planning on being the match director for the National Service Conditions Championship service
Fun.
pistol matches since the Ontario Rifle Association was asked if we would host nationals this year for the Dominion of Canada Rifle Association. Service rifle. We're done with service rifle. Onward, service pistol. Service pistol is a good time. It does not require a holster qualification. It does require a pistol. It is all shot from the low ready or compressed ready. So, like having the gun out of the holster, loaded, ready to go, there is no draw. It is very safe as a result. And we don't need to deal with holster qualifications, black badges, et cetera, et cetera. I have some questions about like the value of some of that training on the grand scale when there are law enforcement military members that are shooting a service pistol. But the
Yeah.
Browning high powers that the forces get issued can't be having around in the chamber when they're in the holster anyway, so you got to draw and rack. So we do it this way. this the way it's done, it's a primarily safety thing. I am not entirely sure of the training value, but the
Well,
marksmanship part is very
yeah, the
applicable.
shooty part is good. Yeah.
The drawing from the holster would be a nice add in my mind, but I understand that we're trying to be super safe. So
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be pulling one
yeah,
of
I've
those
seen cops shoot.
Brownings.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the military?
Yeah, well, I mean, same,
Uh,
but at least the
I mean,
military,
both.
at least the cops have better guns. I mean, could you imagine, like,
Ish.
here you're drawing your Browning out of your bag holster. That's what they get. And like the
Yeah.
sands
Yeah.
from Normandy are like pouring out the bottom because that's the last time it was used because you just happened to draw that one from the armory and it's just rattling and like yeah, I would not want to have a round in there when I pull that thing out. That'll just go
Yeah.
off. Like they think a 320 is dangerous. Clearly they haven't
I
shot
do
a
think
full
that
Browning.
I do think the forces are probably getting better with some of the new issued
Yeah.
Glocks and SIGs, but the Brownings are still in large supply. So,
Yeah.
in any event, service pistol is very much the same thing. Snap and rapid matches, no moving targets. There could be a moving target for service pistol. It's very challenging to do the moving targets for service pistol at most ranges. There's also a falling blocks match, which again can be challenging to do based on reactive targets at certain ranges because of shrouding and things in Ontario. But
Lame.
service pistol,
Yeah.
super fun test of marksmanship, much like service rifle, very defined course of fire. There is no time advantage. If you shoot it really fast, good for you. You shot it really fast. There are no points for going fast.
Yeah.
There are only points for points. Accuracy is the thing that matters. Service pistol has two different courses of fire. One is just faster than the other. The exposure times are shorter. In one case, the distances are further. But the service pistol matches are very, very fun to shoot. It's about 200 rounds to do a
Yeah.
match.
Just
I've
under,
been
but
running
yeah.
it for the Ontario Rifle Association. I used to run an abridged course of fire for the ORA, just a shorter version of the things that I was more interested in. This year we've been running service pistol as written for nationals in order to prepare for nationals. Each of the matches is designed to emphasize a certain skill.
Although some of
Uh,
them are kind of goofy.
we've gotten I have convinced the Dominion of Canada Rifle Association to adjust most of the especially goofy ones to be less goofy.
Yeah.
Um, they still are kind of goofy. 10-meter attack, what it sounds like at 10 meters. Um, it's two shots in 2 seconds.
Bang bang,
That's it.
motherfucker.
Bang bang. Exactly. Keep shooting. 6 shots, reload 6 shots. It's just to practice your reload and get rounds on paper.
Yep.
So it's 6 reload 6. It's a single 15-second exposure. So
It's
not
almost like a bill drill,
it's not
except
super
it's not timed,
fast.
but there is a time limit.
There's a time limit. It's not super fast, but like it is.
Yeah.
Take 6 shots, do a mag change, like an emergency reload. Take 6 shots, and it's really meant to be an emergency reload, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Don't
strong,
IPSC it.
don't IPSC it. Strong hand only, support hand only. Designed to test single-handed shooting in each hand. 2-on-1. Take shots at two different targets. Uh, There's the body armor drill, which is what it sounds like. There's two targets. It's meant to simulate a falling person, very much like Mozambique drill, but it's done on two different targets to force you to reacquire your aim. So it's two to the body and one to the politically correct upper scoring zone.
But on a different target.
We
That's the
yeah,
part that's weird. Because, like, if I have a guy coming at me and I go and shoot him two to the body, I'm not shooting his friend in the face.
right. And I get that. And I think that the point of that, while it is somewhat silly, is really just to force you to reacquire your aim for the headshot by forcing you, in this case, to move over to the adjacent
Yes.
target. The targets are always side by each. They're very close together. There's
Yeah, I
a
mean, it's not a
target, an empty
huge
target's width, and a
thing,
target
like,
again.
whatever. But like in real life, I would be bang bang and then just bring my gun up a little and
and then
shoot him in
shoot
the
him in the
face.
face. Exactly.
Yeah.
The long
Allegedly.
range,
Yes.
the long range match that shot entirely at 35 yards, 35 meters, whichever metric or imperial
Yeah.
range, I guess.
That one's a
Um,
weird one.
the long range match is very, very challenging, I find.
Yeah.
It's very slow and it's shot in multiple positions, prone, sitting, kneeling, and standing. And you have like 5 minutes to do it. So you can spend a minute in each position. It's very, but it's very difficult to shoot pistols at 35
Well,
meters.
but not even that. Like it, like okay, I'm sure like we could come up with a weird, bizarre circuit, but like when the fuck are you gonna shoot a pistol prone? Like it's just like a weird.
It is an
Uh,
unusual thing. And then, but at least we've gotten rid of like the one hand, other hand, shoot around the corner business. We've at
yeah.
least managed to modernize the course of fire slightly. I do like that this is very much a test of marksmanship, and
Yes.
you just need like 3 mags to be able to do it. I mean, more mags is more better, but
Yeah.
like you can get by with like 3 mags.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, I've
Ten,
been
ten,
shooting it for a while, and it's nice because you can see your progress.
10 rounds in each mag.
Yeah. Although
Yeah.
some are less, like it's
The A lot of the matches are designed to be 5 round mags, but there are some matches where you have an unusual number of mags, like um, keep shooting, which is a pair of sixes, a pair of 6 round magazines. But it's not really to shoot the 6 rounds. It's really to like conduct the reload efficiently and get the other mag off entirely.
yeah. Or when you're doing like the body armor, or
Right,
you know,
because there's
you'll
strings of
do
3, 2 to the chest and one to
yeah,
the face, right?
or
So
you
that
have like strings of four because you're doing like there's one where you have to shoot one target once, another target twice, and then back to your original target once. You have a string of four.
yeah, it's like 4 or 5 times. It's 18
It,
rounds or something.
so 10 round mag, like you could shoot it with a 10 round mag, that's totally fine, but you're gonna need to reload in weird places, and they're not, other than the one specific match with a reload, you're not supposed to be reloading. So you'll put like
There's
eight
no
rounds
need
and
for
eight
it.
rounds and then 4 rounds in your 3 mags so that you can shoot that match. Because otherwise, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to take this mag out because I don't want to reload because that's dumb and waste time. So,
The Like I say, there are things that are definitely not great training material in that, but there are also things that I think that are
yeah, it
good
practices a lot
training
of the things.
material.
I mean,
It
and
does.
it's,
It covers a lot of skills, and I really think the things like the snap shooting with you have to just shoot your 2 rounds in 2 seconds because otherwise you don't get all your rounds off, or like just shooting strong hand and just shooting weak hand because everybody sucks at weak hand
yeah,
shooting. I think there's a lot of value to be had in that, and
yeah,
I very much enjoy the service pistol course of fire, even the way that it is for NSCC. I think the course of fire that we developed through COVID to do service pistol sort of as our own thing was better, but
yeah.
Gavin and I were running like club level matches for service pistol through COVID. I think it was a better course of fire, but like whatever, we're getting ready for nationals. Nationals is this year. I'm going to win nationals because I'm a winner.
Yeah.
Um,
I do like the problem suggestion though for like the shooting, the simulated shooting around a barricade, actually using like some stacked barrels so that you have to do that without moving your feet. I mean, that
Force
would be
people to
kind of,
lean. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of like PPC, except they just use like a 4x4, which isn't really a whole lot of like leaning because anyone can just kind of move their hand an inch or two and shoot around that barricade. But it would be fun to have that. So maybe if and when we have more fun things planned and run our own service pistol matches, maybe we'll just do that.
Well, one step at a time. First, we have to get
Yeah.
through nationals this year because I've been
Yes.
volunteered into that. Service pistol is a good time. I am a big fan of a very simple IPSC style rig for that, because having a holster to put your pistol in when you're not using it is terribly convenient, and being able to
Yeah.
carry like somewhere between 4 and 6 magazines also terribly convenient. So I use
Yeah.
my IPSC belt that is not an IPSC belt, because I am not a big IPSC shooter. So my IPSC belt is HSGI polymer tacos to hold my magazines, and a Great Box Strategic Level 2 holster, because
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, if it works, it works.
Yeah. I mean, so
Really.
I run a battle belt with all of my shit on it, and I have an IPSC belt that I use for shooting my one IPSC match a year because they won't let me use my other belt. But yeah, it, it holds my pistol, it holds my magazines. I have a first aid kit on it, and I've got a little thing that holds the radio so that when I'm at the base and doing the radio stuff and running a range, it's conveniently there and not just like in a pocket and being awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think I probably need to change up my belt a little bit to either be more like my battle belt is, or to build a different IPSC belt to be more IPSC-y, because I'm not a big IPSC shooter, mostly because I don't like a lot of people that shoot IPSC, and because I'm not allowed to wear camouflage, and I really love camouflage, and I love the people I love and not the people that shoot IPSC.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
Yeah.
maybe I need to build a proper IPSC belt for IPSC.
Yeah.
But
Maybe.
who wants to buy an IPSC belt when you could buy ammo?
I mean, yeah. I
Agreed.
just did it because I kind of was in that situation because I've kind of always run a battle belt of some kind that they were just like,
Well, and I miss my regular battle belt that I use for the vat, because my battle belt 3 gun belt is my belt
yeah,
for everything, but I have a really hard time with 3 gun because I don't practice enough. And then all of the bands and cock rifle stuff. So
yeah,
been very on the service conditions train lately,
yeah.
trying to convince people that shooting is a serious sport in this country, and it is beneficial to our military and law enforcement members, and
And
also that
our
I'm better than
economy.
them.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very
Because
important
you
to
don't
our
want
economy.
you don't want the cops to just think they're good because only cops show up and they're all shitty.
Oh, no, I want to remind the police
Yeah.
regularly that I am much better at this than they are.
Exactly. Like that's what I'm getting at. Like you want people, military, police, everybody, right? Just because they get paid to have a pistol on their side, even though they haven't done the same courses as you and Gavin has done to participate in that, and to qualify to be able to possess that weapon, purchased it when you were a real country and you could at least have it,
I don't,
right?
I was never alive when this was a real country, but that's a different debate for a different day.
Yes, but you guys could purchase it even though there was a bunch of cuck rules involved. But that has
True.
changed very recently,
Yeah.
right? So that
I,
like
I,
very
I
fine
would like
line, but
I would like to keep having service conditions events in this country, and I would
yes.
like to see the Dominion of Canada Rifle Association continue to organize a
So
national level match where I can beat everyone in the military and everyone in the law enforcement community
Yeah.
and most of the civilians.
Yeah.
out of curiosity for this, I don't know if I want to make that $2,000 investment. Is it an option for me to be invited and borrow
Oh
anybody's
yeah.
equipment to participate in this, right?
I
But
I am
I'll
sure
pay
if
ammo
you
and
yeah,
like
I'm sure if you wanted to make the trip down to participate in a
If
match
you
or
had a friend that
nationals,
was shooting service pistol, I'm sure a
yeah.
friend could hook you up with a rifle or a
Yeah.
pistol and all of the assorted
yep, okay,
accoutrements.
Yeah.
right. Obviously, you want to be sure the person is safe and everything, but
Of
yeah,
course.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
but okay, yeah, just for people that haven't,
Yeah.
like me, right, were idiots. I didn't get my restricted, and I was like, I should really do that. And then they did the whole thing, and I'm like, I'm kicking myself ever since that I didn't
what
do the
the
restricted
the
course
good news
afterwards.
is, you don't need to own a gun, a handgun, a pistol, and you don't need to have an RPAL to use a pistol. You just need a friend with an RPAL and pistol that
Just
goes to
show
the
up and
range
hand
with
deliver
you.
it for you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because as long as they're at the range with you, you can
yep,
use it all you want. No laws have been broken, nothing's been violated.
yep,
They've
yeah.
legally transported
They,
it.
they
You're
Yeah.
can't
allowed
leave.
to use it.
Yeah, they can't leave and go get lunch and be back in
Well,
three
why would they leave?
hours.
There's a shooting match going on.
Although in
Exactly.
theory, I think at the base they could because the base is like a weird.
I would not
I
means
wouldn't want to
test
test
that.
those waters.
No, but I
No,
think
but
technically you would be okay. But again, I'm with Andrew. Like, why would you leave because there is a shooting match going
Yeah,
on
I should be at the
that
shooting
you, as
match
a
winning.
gun owner with the appropriate equipment, could be participating in?
no.
And you would just trade off the pistol or bring two.
Bring two or bring three or bring four.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. I mean, I
okay.
have loaned out a few pistols so that people that were unlucky and unable to get one have been able to come out and shoot service pistol. And they've actually, I mean, they've improved in the last couple of matches they've come out. And like the competitive bug has definitely got them to the point where they are now looking at switching the optic on their cuck rifle so that they could shoot service rifle.
Which is good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
One, I realize we're running up against the bottom of the hour, but one other discipline that I would like to talk about that I've been doing a lot of shooting
Yeah.
of the last. So we did two service rifle matches last year. We did like half a dozen service pistol matches last year, which, amongst other things, with the Ontario Rifle Association, because I don't just do a service pistol day, I do a close quarters day, which has 100-meter rifle, close quarters battle CQB, and the service pistol component. This year it's just service pistol and 100-meter rifle, but we've gone to the full service
Yeah.
rifle program, the all 10 matches on the day kind of thing. So it's like 200 rounds of service pistol. The other piece that I want to, well, I guess two pieces I want to mention, 100-meter rifle marksmanship, which we have made more politically correct because during COVID times, everybody remembers COVID times, when we were
Yeah.
only allowed small gatherings, I would have small gatherings with my shooting friends at the range, and we would participate in something called partisan rifle,
Yes.
which we have renamed to be more politically correct in case that anyone sees it on any paperwork for the Ontario Rifle Association, and we call it 100-meter rifle marksmanship.
Yeah.
And it's
Or, I
like
mean, you could just call it the Shoot to Live program as it was originally
it is
titled.
very much the 1942-43
Yeah.
version of the Shoot to Live
We still really do need to come up
program.
with like a patch for like the
Big
little
Chief
crack shot
Crackshot.
or whatever it is. Because I like if you get like a certain score or perfect score or whatever, like you get one of these just cause.
Just cause
We'll
I do like that stuff.
we'll talk after the
Yeah.
show.
So during COVID, I developed a coursifier that could be used at your local 100-meter, 100-yard range, based on, I want to say it's the 1943 Shoot to Live manual from the Canadian Armed Forces.
Yeah.
Uh, Maybe it's not the 19, I want to say it's the 1943 version of the
In and
manual,
around that
but
year. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just what can we do quickly and easily in like the course of an hour to get a bunch of people to shoot like 50 rounds to practice all the fundamentals of rifle marksmanship without any gimmicks or bullshit. If you done a maple seed, if you shoot ORPS, CRPS, NRL 22, any of the 22 type precision matches, if you were shooting big boy PRS with a big boy caliber gun, if you were doing service rifle with any kind of service rifle, like a AR-15 at the time, or now a straight full bolts or anything like that, what rifle could people show up with? We should turn the lights back on in my office because that's not ideal.
Looks like you're huddled in a blanket.
Who says he's not?
A blanket
It,
of AR-15s.
yeah, it just
Oh,
looks
that'd
like
be
you're
so good.
cold, and we're like talking about like
But
how
yeah,
you keep warm at night.
yeah. The
I,
the nice
I,
thing about this course of fire is that like you can literally shoot it with anything. Like we've had guys that have done it with, semi-autos, bolt action, straight pulls, lever guns, like you name it.
I do very much like my 100-meter rifle marksmanship course of fire, which is on Gun Nuts, which is free to everybody, which is has links to everybody. It's on the Ontario Rifle Association. Well, it's probably not on the real website because I don't control the website, but it's on practice score for the matches that
Yeah.
I run for the Ontario Rifle Association. It's very, very welcoming, forgiving course of fire.
Yeah. You could
six
shoot it with a
six
22.
stages. You can absolutely shoot it with a 22. Um, our good friend the problem shoots it with his 1022, and he shoots it very well with a stock 1022.
Yeah. to the point
But
where it
1022 is
annoys certain people.
like a 1022 is a reliable 22 with the
Yeah,
right ammo. Like
yeah.
100%. Like,
But that's the beauty of this course of fire is that like you can shoot it with anything that you want. It's still going to test you though because it does all of the positional shooting that we've been talking about like in service rifle. You've got to use all of those positions in this. Now you don't have to have all the snappy kit to go with it. Not that you couldn't if you wanted to practice.
Not that you couldn't.
you can shoot it with the 338 Lapua or a 22. It's
Yeah,
up to you.
I
It's
wouldn't
your money, it's your ammo.
yeah,
I wouldn't recommend it, but you can definitely do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Because it is snap and rapids. There's no movers, there's no real deliberates, they're not individually
Yeah.
indicated deliberates. But it snaps and rapids, so there's a time constraint, and it's a very repetitive course of fire. Prone, sitting, kneeling, standing at 100 yards, two targets. We use the NRA TQ4 target, I think is the NRA 100, or it's not the 100 yard, it's like the NRA 25-yard small bore target. It's basically 14 inches by 14 inches, and they're just circles. So it's just like a regular target. Like everybody thinks of a target with like the concentric series of circles.
Yep.
The it happens to be a convenient size because it's about 14 inches by about 14 inches. It works really well at 100 yards because you just see a black circle. You shoot it with iron sights, you shoot it with optic, you shoot it with a red dot. Doesn't matter. You bring what you got and you shoot your. It takes 60 rounds to shoot the course of fire. It takes about 15 minutes, plus if however long people need to zero and whatever. And then you tally up your two targets and see how you did because you do some shots on the left, you do some shots on the right. And the only reason for that is to make it easier to score. Because once you have 60 holes in a piece of paper, it's really hard to see how many of them are bullseyes and how many of them are nines and how many of them are so on and so on. Because in my case, the centers are all shot out. So having it on two targets, I can actually count the 30 individual holes. It also forces people to change their positions because some of the stages of the match require you to put rounds on both targets. So some of them are just left, some of them are just right, some of them are both, and it just forces you to move positions slightly to accommodate for that. 100-meter rifle, what used to be on Gun Nuts. I think you'll find the old stuff called partisan rifle if you go look on Gun Nuts. Super fun. 2 or 3 mags is good because uh there are 5 and 10 round exposures, but there is also the Mad Minute, and the Mad Minute requires you to shoot 15 15. I think it's 15 shots in 30 seconds, or 60 seconds rather.
Okay, because it's like mad minute and you only got half that time. I was like, that sounds like you got taxed on
Yeah, sorry, 60
it.
seconds. Trying to
Okay.
see if I have the score sheet handy, but I can't seem to bring it up. So anyway,
Hmm.
there is yeah, still on Gun Nuts, still on Google Docs, still publicly available, still open to everybody. Yeah, 15 seconds to fire 60 shots for the rapid for the Mad Minute. Positional snap match, the world's slowest burpee, starting in the prone, then sitting, then standing, then back to sitting, then back to prone. Some shots done standing, some sitting, kneeling, some prone. It's I think it's a great course of fire, but I'm partial because I made it.
Yeah. Um,
So
yeah, and we haven't even gone into like the whole rabbit hole of like, depending what you're shooting, right? If like spending the money on one of these is
oh, a
worth
spotting
it.
scope.
Yeah,
Oh
spotting
yeah.
scopes, binos, like
I would so I would like to talk about precision rifle, but I also would like to go to bed because it is past my bedtime.
yeah, I'm
Precision rifle
I'm
is its whole own thing. I would say if you're doing any kind of long distance shooting, maybe we can have
Sure.
yeah,
another show at some point just to talk about all of the precision rifle autism. Maybe we get Dave on. Dave and I are a team
yeah,
and we're going to
yeah,
win nationals. Dave that's been
Oh
on the
yeah.
podcast before. Dave is going to be the match director for the precision rifle national service conditions championship. And
yeah.
he's going to be my partner for the precision rifle component of the national service conditions championship. Um, if you're going to do any kind of shooting at distance,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely think that binoculars and or a spotting scope are a worthwhile
Yeah,
Yes.
investment.
And
Um,
absolutely.
and and not the ones you get at Canadian Tire for $30.
no, I'm a
Right?
really
Like,
big fan of Apex Optics, the 12 power binos that they have with the ranging
yes.
reticle in them.
Yes, they have very nice
Super
binos.
super
Yeah.
popular for ORPS, CPRS, NRL 22 PRS type matches.
Yes.
12 power is big enough that you can basically see any target at those matches, whether it's the 22 or the full bore stuff. 12 power is big enough to resolve the steel targets at any distance that you're going to shoot it at. Having the ranging reticle is a super handy
I,
feature for
I, I
spotting, so
I
you
would
can.
say you absolutely like the ranging reticle makes a huge difference.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Especially to call corrections for somebody. There's a difference
yeah.
between calling hit miss
Yeah. But
and
saying this is the
Oh
adjustment you need
yeah.
to make to
miss
get.
come up 2.2
Yeah,
mils.
yeah. If I was just trying to look at something to see whether it hit or not, I don't want the reticle because it's blocking part of my view. Like if
Yeah.
all I'm doing is looking at a piece of steel and going hit or miss, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
want that. But if I'm spotting, I want it, and because
I
then I
want it.
can, yeah,
The other nice thing with the 12 power binoculars is you can almost always have enough field of view that you can see trace as the bullet is past its apogee.
yeah,
So
Yes.
when it's
Which is
coming back down, you can see the swirl in the water vapor in the air and actually see the trace of the bullet because you can't see the bullet holes. It's not worth trying to see the bullet holes, right?
no.
Like don't
No,
don't do
but
that. But like
you can see
you can
the
see
impact.
trace, you can see
Yeah.
the impact, you can call the corrections because you with the as long as the environmental factors are good, you get that trace and then you can call yeah, left, right, high, low, whatever. And if you're able to resolve um the elevation or windage distance with a ranging reticle, yeah, you're 2.2 left, you're 1.4 high, whatever. Like that's a much more helpful correction than you're like, I don't know, you're 6 feet low.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
you're
think,
low and to
yeah,
the right by how much?
yeah,
Right. And that's
Yeah,
where
yeah,
right,
yeah.
yeah,
very valuable. Spotting scopes also absolutely play their purpose. Um, More for indication on the target rather than seeing trace or watching um like measuring impacts, that sort of thing. Because the spotting scopes tend to have a very narrow field of view compared to a
yes.
binocular. Binoculars are 300 feet at 100 yards, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're nice. Also,
Yeah.
I find the strain on your eyes, like even if you train yourself to have both eyes open, like when I come down for precision rifle, which I haven't done in a while or whatever, even shooting at 1,000 yards, like I have both my eyes open. But there's an adjustment that needs to happen, having your eye open, your shooting eye and your non-shooting eye open,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So even if I'm standing there and I was like, okay, I feel like it's good, and then I blink, I'm like, there's a slight second of adjustment, even if I'm used to it, compared to binoculars, right? Both eyes, or you just do the pirate thing and put something completely over your eye, and will help. But I still find it's a lot to have a strain on one eye compared to both. Binos versus a spotting scope, which I have a spotting scope. I'm trying to find best bang for my buck for
Yeah.
I
binos that can fit on the
I
And
tripod I have and all that.
so
And yeah, I
the
know the
upside to
Apex.
that,
Oh,
almost all good binos have a tripod adapter.
yeah.
yes.
Vortex, Apex, all the X's really.
Yeah.
All my X's live in Texas. So says George Strait. But
Yeah. Right.
most good quality binos have a tripod adapter, which
Yeah.
is usually an Arca rail mount. Um,
Yeah.
it'll work on most tripods. I mean, maybe you need a different head or whatever to make it all
Yeah.
compatible,
But if
but
you have a modern
Yeah.
tripod setup, you have an Arca rail.
you likely have
Yeah.
an Arca rail and
Yeah.
it's likely going to be fine.
Yeah.
Um,
And fairly cheap, even if it doesn't come with the binos. Normally, when you're buying them, they're like, hey, do you want this to put it on a tripod for
yeah, would you like the
$15?
$20 piece of aluminum to put this on a tripod? Yes. Yes, you
Yes.
would.
Right. Yeah. Very cost
Absolutely.
effective and budget friendly for that, especially since we're buying so much for the binos. I think they
Well,
should
and
just
that's the
come
thing
with the
is,
binos, but that's just me.
not everybody
Yeah.
needs them, and I
Yeah,
get
but
that
I would
Yeah.
prefer just buying it and it being there whether I
as a
need it or
set.
not
Yeah.
as a
Yes,
set, right?
I
Especially
get that.
when you're parting with $1,000 compared to the
Well,
$20 I'm spending for cheap ones, right?
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Apex,
Yes.
Steiner, Swarovski,
Zeiss.
Bushnell Vortex,
Yeah,
all
Bushnell
quality
Vortex. Yeah.
vinyl
Yeah.
brands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You optics, you get what you pay for. If it's made in China, expect it to be not great quality. If
Yep.
it's Japanese glass, expect it to be better quality. Same thing, like Vietnamese glass tends to be okay. It's probably not the best, but
Yep.
every brand is different. Everybody's warranty is different. Everybody's level of quality
I
between different levels of their optics is different. So,
yes. I mean, we can go down the rabbit hole of why I spent $6,000 on scopes for two rifles. Because I
yeah,
was like,
well, I mean, that's
I'm
the
gonna save money, and I bought
Right.
these. And then when I got past 700 yards, I was like, these aren't working. So thankfully, the upgraded optics that we bought for our 6.5s for PR were on sale. But I'm like, I did the math, and I was like, fuck, I got like 6 grand worth of glass here. Because I tried to be cheap and save $600.
yeah.
So I opened it,
Yeah.
put it on the rifle, and now I'm I'm stuck with it. So yeah, I would be way down to go down that rabbit hole of like best bang for your buck, budget friendly builds. Even budget friendly builds on what we were talking tonight. We went through the whole course of fire and what you guys use it, but like I'm down for like a budget friendly, how to get
So,
into it, reloading.
episode part two, let's
Yeah,
Yeah.
talk about some rifles for some of these
I
sports.
yeah, I'm talking like part two, three, and four. Like we can
I
go
could do
down
that.
like I want to go down the
Mhm.
rabbit hole of reloading. Like I have a reloading press right here. I've got the
Um,
trimmer over, like the
we
electric
really
trimmer
should
over there.
get Dave to come on and talk
Yeah.
about the reloading tism because
All right. Well,
Yeah,
let's close it out for tonight, and we will
but
get.
did we answer the optics thing though? Get binoculars and get a spotting scope and buy good glass for your rifle. Is that the?
I mean, I would say that
It's
step
your
one
money and
is,
I'm happy to spend it.
yeah,
I
I
will
mean,
too. But I think step one is definitely get good glass on your rifle first. That's the
yes,
most important thing.
yes.
Yes, and
I
then I think it's a
Then,
matter of what do you shoot more and where do you get more value? Because
yeah,
high power spotting scopes, like 20 to 60 power spotting scopes, super convenient for shooting paper because you can resolve holes on your local range out to like
yes,
300 yards. I
yeah,
can see
yes.
30 caliber holes at 300 yards in almost all conditions at 60 power.
Yeah.
well, and
Even
like,
while it's like a
yeah,
raging snowstorm, you can
yeah,
still see it.
and
Like, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And
if
I
you
can't
get
do
that,
that with 12 power binoculars.
no,
yeah,
there's pluses and minuses to binos versus a spotting scope, and then I even like, are we talking about like a straight spotting scope or one with an angled eyepiece? Like,
I would say that it entirely depends on whether you plan to use it on a bench or prone or standing. Because benches and
exactly,
prone,
right?
in my mind, those need to be angled spotting scopes so that you can use them.
Yeah,
yep,
And straight spotting scopes if you're planning on standing up.
yep.
but not that you can't use some of the others. You
Both
just have
will
to
both
lean
will work. You
over,
just
and
have to
yeah,
make it
it's.
work, and the
Yeah,
mounts
But
and
it all depends
tripods and
on what kind of shooting and what
tripods
kind
are
of.
also
right.
their own
Like,
thing.
Oh yeah,
right. Like, so on my spotting scope, I've got a Vortex. It's one of the fairly cheap ones, but like I've got the base right here, right, that I can put on my tripod. But
yeah,
there's also this really fancy knob here that I'm like, if I'm shooting by myself and I'm
You
unsure,
can turn the
you
I
can
can
eyepiece
turn
twist
it.
that knob
sideways and
and I can like just take my and
Yeah,
I can like, without
yeah,
having to do anything. Like it's already angled, so I'm like, I can just have it just outside the field of view or anything to work my rifle
yeah,
and just like, pop my head up and like move over 3 inches, right? Like
yeah.
I would
So
take the
like
cover
my
off
my
for that.
spotting
Like,
scope is a straight one, and I mostly use it when I'm just that spotting, not myself, but somebody else, and I'm sitting in
yeah,
my chair and I've got it positioned so that I'm just looking
yeah,
straight
just
through it, so it works really great for that. but
Yeah.
doesn't work great for other things. But like it's
Yeah.
all what do you use it most for? And that's where it's
Right.
like get good glass on your gun because that's the most
Yeah.
important. And if you really need to, you can spot your own shots with that as long as there's not too much recoil
And
and things like
I
that.
Not.
spotted my own shots on a
Yeah,
PR rifle the first probably 5 years I shot PR before I bought a
yeah,
spotting scope.
Yep.
And now I have a spotting scope. And then I was like, I'd really love to see the trace better.
better. Yeah.
So now I have binoculars and a
So
spotting scope
really,
and good
so
glass.
really, yes. Eventually, you will probably get all three if you compete or participate in
Yeah.
all of the different things.
Yeah.
But
Or you
yeah,
just got stupid money you can spend.
yeah.
Like it. I'm not going to tell you how to
But
spend your money, but I'll give you
Well,
advice on how to spend it
fortunately,
according
the
to me.
yeah,
gods made me incredibly rich instead of incredibly handsome.
well,
No, wait,
See,
the other thing.
that's the difference between
yeah,
you and me, I guess.
yeah. Here I am looking at spotting scopes and
Yeah,
binos. But
I
Oh,
I would
yeah,
get
no,
another.
I want to go down that. Right.
Tripods also a whole its
oh
own thing
yeah,
because
Oh,
like some is it really right stuff tripods? There are some very fancy
yeah.
carbon fiber tripods that you can get,
oh,
and there are also
Jesus.
some decent like
Very cheap.
Chinese knockoff tripods.
I've got
Um,
Yeah.
one, and I just know if I like, you know how you can tighten the handle so your spotting scope doesn't
yes,
move like when you have it. So I just know that if I'm looking at the site, I just need to move over about 3 inches because when I crank that handle to lock it, it's gonna move over
it
about three
moves.
inches.
Yeah, and
Right?
that's I
But
mean, so that's where like
like,
it's not even just the tripod because that's just the leg part. The head part is a
yeah,
whole other, and there are all kinds of different locking mechanisms and types of things and like
yeah.
Well,
what weight
if
is
you
this
got like
for? Yeah.
if you got like stupid tripod money, the
Oh,
really right stuff, carbon
Yeah.
fiber SOAR tripod, it's like
13.
$1,500
Yeah,
US.
yeah.
Yeah.
It weighs nothing. It weighs like a piece of paper. Carbon fiber is so light. It's fantastic. But like I ain't got that stupid money, man. I'll keep going with the $200 one I have. And just like, yeah, I went to the range and I put a really small target at 200 yards, right? And I'm like, that's all I did for 20 minutes. Was like, okay, this my sights lined up and I locked it. And I'm like, why am I shifted over? I was like, okay, unlock. Then I lined up and I made adjustments and everything. And I'm like, when it's locked, as long as it's locked, it doesn't move, I'm happy. I'm not
And
hiking up 20
Yeah.
miles up a hill, to go shoot caribou. So I'm okay with it weighing a few extra pounds.
Yeah. No, I mean
Uh,
I'm really happy with mine, although like it depends again on what you're doing. So like I've got a carbon fiber, I've got the peg. It's the one that's right here behind me for the viewing audience, and it's great, but it could be better. So
oh,
there's pluses and minuses. Like Dave, and I think your new fancy tripod is the same, where like you adjust it up high, so when you want to adjust the leg lengths, it's like one adjustment point and it's in a spot that's easy to adjust.
yeah.
yes.
Whereas mine
Compared
is
to,
like the old school style where it's got the
yeah,
three, but like mine packs up really small and it's light and I can attach it to a backpack easily if I'm going to go hike out somewhere and shoot with it.
I
yeah,
spent far too much money on a Leofoto knockoff tripod. Leofoto is a Chinese
Yeah.
manufacturer of carbon fiber tripods. They're not bad. They're not
but
great, but they are 100% just ripping off the designs of the American
Yeah.
manufacturer Really Right Stuff tripods.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
But
you're also paying a significantly lower price for a lower quality but like still super nice. And yes, mine is very, I want to say it's like collapsed length is probably like 36 inches, maybe it's 40 inches. It's not
yeah.
small, but it's only one adjustment on each leg, and then it becomes 8 feet tall and magic.
Yeah. And
yeah,
for spotting and doing that kind of stuff, like it's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you were to like hike it out into the woods to do some shooting with it, maybe not your best choice. So
Yeah.
again,
You'll
You know,
probably
everything
get
is
it
like,
snagged on
I
something.
am I am actually going to say that that was a consideration.
yeah,
And it fits in the side sleeve of the regular rucksack that I use. I normally run
nice.
an Everly stock half track.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
It doesn't fit all the way in, but it does not come up substantially higher than the overall height of the rucksack.
Yeah, not
Nice.
enough that it's gonna get snagged on a branch on top
Yeah,
of
yeah.
way past your head and everything, right? Like,
No, that's
okay,
good
so
though.
yeah, that is good, right? Like, so
But
now we
again,
can
like
go down
this
the
is
rabbit
a
hole of like what gear do you
Yeah,
buy
well,
maybe
that's
and
useful for this as well as hunting,
well, so
hiking,
my typical
right?
rucksack for outdoorsy stuff, whether that's precision rifle shooting or ultralight backpacking, and what I do is not ultralight, but we'll call it that because it's
Yeah,
everything in a backpack. Ultralight is like 60 pounds,
yeah,
which like there are ultralight people that are like, I trimmed off the end of my toothbrush to save 2 grams. I'm like, I packed one less beer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
maybe we
yeah,
need to get into more of that autism later, but
Yeah,
we'll close
I
it.
think that's worthwhile. I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it.
we'll
I
close it
enjoy
out for
it.
now. Um, Pierre, when you're not spurging out about guns and gear and all that, where can people find you?
You can find me talking to Gavin and Andrew, as well as Dave and everybody else that is normally on here, about more advice on how to spend my money. Because I have four scopes boxes over there because I decided to save 500 bucks and ended up spending double that and 500 bucks extra for scopes. You can find me or my significant other for any shirt designs you think you don't have a design for. We will gladly make it. Off the wall customizing at Gmail, potentially on some of the socialist medias. I should eventually ask her so that I keep saying it that way on the podcast. Or you can find me Sunday nights on the Copycat CPP on YouTubes and Facebook, Canadian Prepper podcast about what you could do to better prepare yourself for what we mostly talk about on Monday nights here.
Awesome. Andrew,
Yeah,
where
I
can people
don't.
find? No,
It's not, yeah, just no.
no, you're
I
good.
don't.
You can
If
find
you
him at your next service rifle, service pistol, or precision rifle match through the URA.
nah, even then, don't do that. I'm not. Don't email me. Don't just like read the instructions on practice score. There's no additional instructions. Figure it out.
There you go. You heard it from the man himself. Apologies to Rod Giltaka.
Rod doesn't
Yeah,
shoot service rifles, so he got
yeah,
disinvited.
yeah. And apparently we've spent too much time looking for Andrew, so we haven't had time to compare schedules and make it work.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've never seen Rod Galtak and I on the same podcast at the same time, so how do you know we're not the same person?
That's
I mean,
true.
yeah.
That's true. Although I have been in the presence of both of you at the same time.
But do you have a
Or
picture?
have I?
Allegedly.
Do you
We've
have a
both been at
picture
the
to prove
same
it?
place, but it may not have been exactly at the same time.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a quick change.
We're getting into a Ken Clark and Superman
Yeah,
thing
weird.
here.
Well, on that note, I would like to remind you all that you are a small fringe minority.